I feel like I have to read the news or something. Right, okay, today we'll talk about the Hierophant, which is one of my not least favourite, but a card that I find difficult. I did my exercise that I put at the back of the handout on the tube on the way, so I'll give you some examples. But also something that occurred to me while I was coming here was that, I don't know you, but for me, if I think of certain cards, kind of my mind jumps back the Rider-Waite automatically. Is it because of how famous it is, or maybe the way we are ingrained in Rider-Waite imagery? You were saying earlier that you prefer not to carry on sale, and other people probably like Henry works with a top. So that would be a bit different, but I'm thinking the reason I get stuck if I'm doing a reading regarding what positions it falls on is that automatically I think the keywords, mentoring, tradition, teaching, structure, religion, rigidity, conformity, someone that is not flexible, someone that likes to give advice but is not, I don't feel the Hierophant as being an empath. I feel them to be someone that gives you the advice because it's practical to do so rather than it coming from his intuition. And so often I get stuck. Then I thought, where do I get stuck the most? Thinking of myself. Now, I don't do reversals anymore, but I still did put it there. What is the difference between the card coming out upright or reversed? Would a reversed Hierophant be nicer? Would it be more understanding, or would it be even so more inflexible because it's reversed, so it's kind of, his shadow qualities are enhanced? What do you think? Because that was the first point. Upright and reversed. Like for me, like I said, I don't do reverses now, but still I'm happy to hear about if you see any difference. Yes?
For me, sometimes I look at it as going against conformity and structure and finding your own path when it's reversed.
Okay, I just thought of something else.
Yeah.
Do you see, like I do, I don't know, it's because I'm very visual, as a person, like a calling card?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Not at all.
So how do you see it?
Well, for me, the entire major arcana is supposed to be archetypal. So it's not a person, and it's not, no single word could. But the way I see the Hierophant is as a bridge. For somebody in need of connecting with the Godhead, the Hierophant is a connector. So, if you think of it in the sequence of cards, starting from the Magician, and then the High Priestess, and the Empress, and the Emperor, this card, it's like you've kind of gone through, do you have motivation? Is there a way of developing that motivation into some activity and organizing it? And then at some point you need to get away from just the act of doing things and understand why are you doing it from the spiritual perspective. But you're too young, you don't know how to do it yet. You need somebody, something, it could be either one, that would help you connect with the Godhead. You're not sufficiently mature yet to have that spiritual connection, and that's how I see the Hierophant. And if you think of the Pope,
Yeah, I was thinking of
that's
my
exactly,
side.
that's, so a lot of people think of the Pope as kind of an authoritative figure.
But it looks like the Pope. I think I'm too stuck on the Rider-Waite library.
Well, anyway, in the say that it's the Pope, so it's not the Hierophant. That's an invention by Crowley and Waite. But in any case, it's a religious figure, and I see that figure as a bridge, a potential to bridge.
Okay.
Not the authoritative side of the Pope, but the catalytic side of the Pope. Catalytic seems to be coming up a lot today.
No, that's not, I get what you're saying.
So that's the way I see it. I don't don't see it as a negative card at all. I see it as a very positive, it's a helpful personality or something, because it doesn't always have to be a person. I think that spiritual events happen in so many different ways. If you look at the Buddha, for example, or I'm going to come up short for other examples, but I just see it as being, an insight, a trigger, a feeling of morality and spirituality, more of an answer to the soul, or a beginning of an answer to the soul.
Okay, that's different, because I'm not, yes, Ben, sorry.
I'd like to build on that because I agree very strongly with that kind of idea of it.
Cheers.
I'm also thinking of the flip side of the tree, the dark path between the clip-offs, like little miniature hell kind of spaces. And I think the paths on the tree where the major arcana lie, they also correspond to these paths on the dark side of the tree. And I think that suggests to me that if you're looking for negative aspects of the Hierophant, then I'll be looking at places where the Godhead is absent. So all you have maybe is the false prophet, or a prophet who looks like it's a bridge to God and actually is a bridge to something else, maybe always misleading. So in the card in isolation is its own sort of dark aspect, because it's no longer connected. It's no longer part of a breathing, living, expressive tree. So yeah, that's where I would maybe say what possible negative.
I think my between quotes actually problem, it's not really a problem, but it's that I'm stuck in that vision of using rider-weight based decks mainly, where you see it and a lot of the time when you read, especially if you read intuitively, you just get also impressions from the images, and it's so rigid. So you think of having a deck where it just says the name, either as Pope or a Hierophant, and having no image. That for me is more helpful. I think there are some abstract decks as well out there that, and I've found them. I think it's better. Sometimes you just get completely thwarted by the images of that.
It doesn't look so different in the Marseille.
It doesn't, no, but.
But I think the interesting things are that you have two smaller figures in front, and so it just is kind of suggestive of somebody who's more mature, like a dad.
Yeah, I think that's
or an uncle.
Softer.
Not to be too sexist in the interpretation, but somebody of more experience and their moral authority. And there are other figures like the emperor or the empress or the high priestess who also have a lot of authority in their particular, at least the way I see it.
That's my one. That's my deck. I don't know, what decks have you got today? But we all got a different version of it.
Yeah.
Tough.
Everybody else is top.
Crystal?
Yeah.
I don't observe on the top one, there's someone likes to do the reference to what you're saying about the icon, the imagery becoming kind of a problem. It's got like the different masks, almost like clay masks, so different faces of God, like different aspects of the Godhead becoming apparent. So it's kind of it's also an identifier for that kind of problem with iconography, problem with the image.
Well, just to reference the
That's my one. It's a bit different. No, it's not that different, but a little.
well, just to reference the mask that you point out. I mean, the whole point of the mask here is that the Hierophant knows he has knowledge, but the knowledge is just the shell or the appearance of the thing, compared with because these come up in the universe card and those are alive. So, he's just showing you what it looks like. He can't give you the experience, so to speak. So that kind of links into what you said about the clip-off, because that's the house of shells. What it is like the form of the Godhead, but not without the spirit of it inside.
So does anybody have a card with the keys shown on it?
That one does, doesn't it?
This one.
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
No.
I like the keys because that seems to
Alright?
That seems to be like, okay, I'm looking for an answer to my spiritual questions. I don't really have the answers myself, and perhaps this person can provide me with a key that I've been missing. Maybe not the key, but at least a key. On this card, there's a silver one and a gold one, or a white one and a yellow one.
I like how they're sort of on the floor. It's like they're here, you pick it up yourself, kind of thing.
Does the key mean anything else to other people? Because I'm curious. I think I came across the definition, but I've forgotten.
I'm sure I've read something.
Yeah.
The keys.
It might have been like a Masonic symbol or something. But yeah, generally when we think of key, it already has its own connotation.
Yeah, the symbolism as such.
Yeah.
Well, you can go on with symbolism of the key, but that could be anything.
Yeah.
Keys to the kingdom.
What's the nickname of that half, the Hierophant?
Val.
Yeah.
It's Hukma to Hesed. The name of the from Hukma to Hesed.
Yes.
Yeah. Val.
So they're like back, back of the head and tooth and tooth.
A nail.
Nail. As in,
A nail.
Is that nail as in hammer?
Yeah,
As in
hammer, nail.
finger?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay. That's good, isn't it? Maybe speak to me.
Well, that nail.
What do you think?
It's a phallic symbol. So because the Hierophant is the sort of the son of God type of thing, right? Yeah, that's where the nail thing comes in. So you have like Yod, which is the seed, and then Val is like the extension of that. So there's the son of the father in a way.
So you've got the triune thing again.
Yeah.
The three.
Well, that's interesting because
Please challenge our ramblings. Because we all
it's
Short,
not,
short,
because
short.
I like to hear different
Flip
perceptions. That it's all about how we read and what we read with and perception, isn't it? Really, of course you go by the meanings as well, but we all perceive. If you're doing a reading quickly, depending on how the card come out, then you'll have a different interpretation for it, right? I'm sure all of us do that. Sometimes you don't really interpret the card as per their own meaning. Sometimes it means something different. Another point that is a bit of a mind discussion with me is the Hierophant versus the Emperor. You might think I'm blaspheming now, but I find them perhaps similar.
Yeah.
But then they're not really, are they? Because if you think about it, the Emperor, although both seem to be predominantly of a male influence, they are different in significance. The Emperor is definitely not, in my view, is not a teacher. It's more like support, it's more like a strong presence there. A leader. And it could be related to female as I've had that card coming out a lot of times in career readings, and even if the person was a woman, because it's the power of being able to lead. But why do I think then that they can be similar in the way? Is it because of the male energy they both represent, or is it perhaps because there are connections between the two?
They both have that male leadership, active principle about them, I would say.
But then we almost seem to agree that they're both males, but they can be also females.
Yes.
Well, they're kind of aspects of the male archetype in a
Yeah.
way.
Male energy, but the querent could be male or female,
Yeah.
but it could be representing the male aspect of
Yes,
them
but-
or an influence on them.
I want to see if you can do like some kind of vector geometry approach. So you have from Chokma to Chesed, you've got Hierophant. From Chokma to Tiferet, you've got the Emperor.
The Emperor, yeah.
So the link is the Emmet.
Link is Tiferet, so
From
because
Tiferet
they're
to
both
Chesed.
different forms of the sun.
What's from Tiferet and Chesed? What links them?
Tiferet and Set, there isn't one.
There is.
There is. Oh wait, no,
There is.
Hermit.
Hermit
Sorry,
is what I mean. So the hermit suggests to me if you take a path from Hockma to Tifereth via Chesed, then the link is the hermit. So what does the hermit bring to
Well, no,
It's another massive part.
if you look at the
It's
hermit, Hierophant, and emperor, the eldest one would be the hermit, the most mature stage out of the three. That it works kabbalistically too, but I won't go into that for the sake of the others. But then, yeah, because emperor, even though in a lot of cards it's depicted as, you know, old man with a beard, in astrologically it's Aries, so it's actually the youngest sign, and arguably the least mature. And then you progress down to Hierophant and then the hermit finally, right? So you can see it, how they can relate to each other as aspects of the divine masculine archetype in a way. That's where I would say the differences
Yeah, no,
between the two.
that's very good actually.
I would agree because the hermit and the hierophant can confuse me a little bit, maybe it's because they're both big of an age or whatever. But I was on a course with someone and they were saying, well, what's the difference between the magician and the hierophant? So I think it is that maybe it's a gender thing and, like you say, the different aspects.
Again, I think it's, for me especially, I don't know for you guys, a lot of it is visual.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking and you just already, you've got preconception of the,
Yeah.
of the image itself. But I do feel the energy to be very, very similar between the Emperor and the Hierophant.
It's only the structure aspect.
Yeah, both have the structure thing.
I mean, it is a card that I very, very, very rarely draw. I mean, I haven't drawn the Hierophant in ages. Not for me, not for others. Whereas the Emperor, I see popping out much more.
I would say that the hermit and the hierophant have in common that they could represent student/teacher.
Yeah.
So that's another connection you could make.
Again, I feel the Hermit's to be a bit softer in his approach.
He's kind of the Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
He is there, isn't he?
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah. The glow.
Well, like, why would you go up the mountain to spend time with a guru?
Absolutely.
That's where I see it.
Yeah.
Not as, I don't confuse that archetype with the emperor at all. The emperor is kind of a scary personality, very authoritative.
He's going out and getting stuff.
Well, he's got all sorts of power, so
I
he's
like
the-
different
Yeah, Emperor's cool. He's the person you want to be.
There's
You
a
know?
negative and
Yeah,
positive to both.
I'm not
All
saying
cards.
I'm not saying that
Yeah.
he's a negative character, but can be a very scary,
Yeah.
awesome character.
Can be very bossy.
And the guru,
Caesar.
well, yeah, because that person is busy running things, so it's getting a lot of people to actually get on the bus and to work together in some way.
Yeah.
And whereas the Hierophant is not necessarily the center of a group, an organized group. Could be somebody living all by themselves, the ascetic life on the top of a mountain. You go there to get insight about spiritual. Well, anyway, that's my. I don't want to be too demonstrative.
No, that's fine.
The hierophant is in a community.
He's part of something, isn't he? He's playing a specific role in a community.
I don't know if I see it that way. Okay, it's like it could be that the Hierophant is in a community, or the Pope is in a community.
Could he be a
But it could also very well be a completely solo act, like the Hermit.
Well, the job of the Hierophant is to communicate his knowledge. The Hermit doesn't necessarily.
Yeah, I agree.
So, in a way, the Hermit is involved in some way with the community, even if he's on his own just writing books.
I see the Hierophant as the person who helps you understand
Yeah.
your spiritual side, and the Hermit is you taking responsibility for yourself to look inside yourself and to find the answers yourself. So, whether the Hierophant is living an ascetic, isolated life and you have to go climb the mountain to ask for their help, or whether they're part of a very vibrant community of people thinking about spiritual things, and that person is the spiritual leader of that group. doesn't, from an archetypal perspective, doesn't change anything for me. There's just